Welcome to Grow Your Yoga. Today, how to practice Firefly Pose, also known as Titthibhasana for beginners. All right, so Firefly Pose is a challenging arm balance posture. And so I'm going to show you some of the key core ingredients that you got to have in place to be able to do it. All right, my name is Todd McLaughlin. I'm here at Native Yoga Center in Juno Beach, Florida, and I'm so happy that you're here. The first main movement that is absolutely essential for being able to practice Titthibhasana, Firefly Pose, is hip flexibility, flexion, forward flexion ability. So the first challenge is how low can you go into the squat? This is the most important action really, because if we do not have enough flexion ability at our hips, then being able to balance with our arms up on the legs up on the arms is just not going to happen yet. So what we really want to work on is this ability to fold at the creases of the hip joints. And Malasana, this pose here, is a great pose to get comfortable on. If you have a really hard time sitting in Malasana, set an alarm clock for 5 minutes and practice sitting on a block and work on bringing your body through the legs. This is key number one. So we really got to work on our hip flexibility. As far as seated poses like Upavishta Konasana, where we work on the ability to bring the chest down in between the legs, also critical. Another posture that's really important is setting up for something that's called sleeping turtle or turtle pose. And this one is where we're going to try with our knees bent to bring the body forward through and to be able to hook the arms under the legs. If we don't have the ability to fold our bodies forward over the legs, that makes it really difficult to be able to get the legs up high enough on the arms that you can hold Titthibhasana. The second main ingredient that we need to work on is our ability to adduct our thighs. A great way to work on this is to take a yoga block, put it between the knees, and practice lie down onto your back, and to start working the movement of your legs where you keep the yoga block in between the knees and you don't let the yoga block separate. All right, because in Titthibhasana, what's going to happen, we fold deep into the hips to be able to get the knees by the shoulders. This is key. The next movement is to be able to put the hands on the floor and have the palms flat. And the next movement to lift the feet off of the floor and balance. And then the next movement to work on straightening the legs and squeezing the legs into the arms. So what I just mentioned before about the block, we really want to try to pull the legs into the arms, and that's how they don't fall off. Because what happens if you go for Titthibhasana and you just let your legs relax, you're just going to slide right down off of the arms. So a big part of this is the ability to actually adduct and squeeze your knees into the arms and or your body. All right, first main motion, hip flexion. Second main motion, the ability to adduct the thighs. Third main motion, hamstring flexibility. Because when we're coming into a deep forward bend like this, to be able to straighten the legs, a lot of this is our hamstring flexibility to have the legs straighten out in Titthibhasana. So good old-fashioned classic Paschimottanasana is going to be a go-to pose to work on every day to help improve your ability to hold in the Titthibhasana. So again, going back through the main ingredients, you got to work on your hip flexion ability. You got to work on your ability to squeeze the knees into the side. And then also the ability to get the hamstrings opened up so you can fold forward and have that ability to straighten your legs. Now, the fourth main element is having to cultivate enough strength in your upper body to be able to hold yourself up on your arms. So really a key pose that I think we need to master first is Bakasana. And check out, I have a video on how to practice the crow or the crane Bakasana. Check that one out as well. But the Bakasana one is where we put our knees on the back of the arms and we float. And so basically just building our upper body strength is really absolutely critical. So one way that you can do this is working high push-up position, getting really strong and stable in your high push-up. Also, We are going to need to do what's called protraction of the scapulas, where you broaden your shoulder blades really wide across the back. Because Titthibhasana, in large part, when you press down, we are going to push and broaden the shoulder blades really wide to create that sort of lifting element in the Titthibhasana. Now, one way that you can start to build that feeling of holding Titthibhasana without actually having to use your arm balance part, in this case, I'm going to employ a chair. I'm going to turn my chair sideways so you can see me. And I'm also going to take 2 blocks. I'm going to take the 2 blocks, I'm going to put them on the floor, and you put your feet up onto the blocks. From here, work on your ability to come forward and through and to put your palms down on the floor so that we're, again, working the flexibility of the hips and working the ability to start to build the balance onto the arms. Another way that we can cultivate the sensation of what this would be like, and on purpose, I'm going to take these blocks, I'm going to stack them so that they could fall over really easily. I'm going to put one heel up on one, but I'm going to make sure that it doesn't fall. I'm going to put my other heel up on the other. I'm going to make sure it doesn't fall. This is challenging to do, but you just kind of come through and hold your legs on this wobbly setup like this. Don't fall. I mean, you're not going to fall too far. You're on a chair, but you get the idea of bring your body through and try to hold that sort of awareness in your legs. Now, another element that you can do is take the blocks onto the floor, and you can put your hands onto the blocks to start to work your ability to squat down and feel what it's like to have the weight on the arms. Another element is from the chair position to take blocks and to lean your body weight onto the blocks and hold your strength on your arms, and then just tip back and land your hips onto the chair. Really just work on cultivating your upper body strength and your ability to lock out your elbows. Now, notice that when we go into a Titthibhasana, another element is that we can use our arms like little tabletops. In this setting, this is a difficult way to enter into Titthibhasana, but watch what I do. I take the feet on the floor a little wider than the mat. You come forward, you bring your arms and shoulders down through your knees, hook your elbows under your knees, and try to lift your feet off the floor so that you have a tabletop, meaning this section here from your humerus, from your shoulder to your elbow, stick it out to the side so the back of your knee can rest on this. And then the idea is that to come up onto it, you lean forward onto your hands, push down, and just feel the legs against your arms. And you don't even have to work on trying to straighten your legs out yet. But here we work on the Titthibhasana lift by press down and squeeze your legs into your arms and then lower back onto the floor. If you feel wrist pain when you practice Titthibhasana, that's because we need to develop a little bit more upper body strength and the ability to put that much pressure on the arms. And again, where you're going to start learning all of this is in the Bakasana, in the ability to spread the fingers wide, put the knees on the back of the arms, tip forward, and just hold your body weight. Use an alarm clock, and every day time yourself and hold and see how long you can hold pressure on your arms. Another really great way to start to work on this element is to have your hands on the floor, just bend your knees, come up onto the balls of the feet, and just hold here. Now again, where a lot of this Titthibhasana ability is going to come from is your ability to start to walk the feet to the outside edges of the hands. Now we have a pose that is called Bhujapadasana, which is where in primary series Ashtanga, where you can take your feet and cross around. And this is very similar to what we're doing in a Titthibhasana, because once you can hold the Bhujapadasana like this, the idea is that you just let the feet separate. You adduct your thighs, you squeeze your knees into the side of the body, and you press. Now to make it really challenging, you can try to straighten your arms, which then makes for a straight slide down. However, this is again where we're going to squeeze the thighs really strong into the arms to build the ability to lift up. Here's a bunch of different tips. I hope they help. If you have any questions, please send a message to me and I'll be happy to coach you along. Really some of these advanced yoga poses require that we build each piece so that you can put the pieces of the puzzle together and be able to sustain and hold a Titthibhasana, Firefly Pose, and or also known as insect posture. All right, so let me just run through a couple more little drills for you to give you some more tips and tricks, but I feel like we covered the basics. Remember, palms have to be flat. Like whenever we see students wanting to go up onto the fingers, there is a variation of a Titthibhasana where you're up on the fingers in the Vishnu Ghosh lineage of the 84 classic asanas. This one is practiced up on the fingers. I don't really recommend that. I feel like from what I've noticed with watching students and practitioners over the years that that's a little bit too much pressure on the hands and the fingers. The method I choose to employ is the Ashtanga style method where the palms are flat down onto the floor. And another great technique that we employ when learning Bhujapadasana that can also help for Titthibhasana is the ability to stand on the backs of your own hands. Because what's really great about this is it pins your heel of your palm down. And notice that if we try to come down a little bit lower, we can squat and get the legs up really high. Another element in the Titthibhasana is that when you start to lift, having the knees up by the arms, if you lose a little ground, you'll slide down, but at least you started really high. If you start down too low, it is so hard to lift up higher into the Titthibhasana. So start high. That way, if you do lose a little ground, you're still up in the realm of where you can balance and try to get your legs to straighten out. There's a couple of different variations in the Titthibhasana. Sometimes you'll see the Titthibhasana where the legs are parallel to the floor and the feet and the hips are about the same. And then we'll also see a variation of Titthibhasana where we let the hips drop down and we allow the legs to go up. So these are just different ways of expressing the Titthibhasana, and you can, obviously start to have fun with it when you feel like you can actually hold your body up on your arms like this. But really the biggest stumbling block I see with students is attempting Titthibhasana without having the ability to bring the shoulders down this low into the knees. So this really is where I think you want to hang out the longest and the most to be able to get this open first, and then little by little start practicing and continue to practice and build up into your Titthibhasana. I hope this helps. If you have any questions, send them my way. Check us out on our website, nativeyogacenter.com. Every week I release a new podcast on Friday mornings. I got a really great guest coming up this week for you. Check it out. You'll find it on our website, Native Yoga Toddcast. And if you have any questions or specific questions you want me to answer with a video tutorial, send me an email at info@nativeyogacenter.com. All right, I think that about covers it. If you have any questions, I'm here for you. All right, have a great day. Thanks. Namaste.